Hi, and welcome to the Daily Stoic. This is where we talk about the philosophy and we try to make some sense of it. And you're with us for the first time reading all of this stuff, so this is kind of we're collecting our thoughts and trying to figure it out. Welcome. Okay. It's April 23rd today. And the name of today's entry is... No, I'm sorry. It's April 24th today. It's April 24th. I don't know what day it is. It is a productive use for contempt is the name of today's entries.
Use of contempt?
Contempt.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah. Contempt, looking down on something. Feeling like I'm above something. And so usually I hear about contempt as like it's bad all the time in all cases. Mm-hmm. So today is interesting because they're saying a productive use for it.
Great.
Let's see. Marcus Aurelius starts us off with a quote. Just as when meat or other foods are set before us, we think, this is a dead fish, a dead bird, or pig. And also this fine wine is only the juice of a bunch of grapes. This purple-edged robe just sheep's wool dyed in a bit of blood from a shellfish. Or of sex, that it is only rubbing private parts together, followed by a spasmic discharge. In the same way, our impressions grab actual events and permeate them, so we see them as they really are. I don't understand this quite yet. Should we try to dissect it?
Let's do it.
Okay. He says, just as when meat or other foods are set before us, we think this is a dead fish, a dead bird, or pig.
So we don't see the delicious, so he's saying you can see like, hey, there's a delicious food on my table. Or you can see it as like, no, this is just some bunch of stupid vegetables, dead vegetables, right? Or like fish. Oh, this is just a dead fish, right? Or someone says like, no, I'm having fish tacos. These are great, right? So it's like something about that, like seeing it for its very pure reality, but that's not like it's. I get it, like you can see it that way, but like I don't get why he's
talking about it.
Like, should we be like I don't think that's a good idea to.
Well, let's see let's see if we can pick apart what he means a little bit deeper. He seems to give a lot of examples about this one thing, like, and also this fine wine is only the juice of a bunch of grapes. Right. This purple-edged robe, just sheep's wool dyed in a bit of blood from a shellfish. Mm-hmm. So he's almost saying like reducing the thing to its component parts or something,
maybe, yeah, or just like its basic
element
or without adding to, oh, what a beautiful rose, right? Like you just say, he's saying these are just petals together, petals together bunched up, or something, but it's also a beautiful rose, so I don't get it.
Okay, so he gives us like 4 examples of the same thing, and then he says this last part, which I don't know if I've been more confused by a Marcus Aurelius quote. He says, in the same way, aka like just like the examples, just like the examples I just gave, our impressions grab actual events and permeate them, so we see them as they really are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he's saying the same thing as with all of those items. You can do this with the way of you perceive something, right? Like, oh, what happened to me at work is this person, doesn't like me, and da 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 da. You come up with all of these stories about what it is, versus he's saying just look at it exactly what happened. I went to this place where I work, and then there's this thing, and then I went home right?
Yeah,
Like
that does seem to be what he's driving at.
like don't be like that may help you to kind of get away from being stuck on those things of like, like I'm holding grudges or something, right? Because it's like you can't hold a grudge if you go based on like, well, what actually is it, right? Like, oh well, no, I just got into this fight and or something, right? And that's just what happened. Two people got into fight. That's what happened, right? But if I say I got into fight with this person, now I hate this person. I never can talk to this person ever again. Now that's not the basic building blocks of that situation, right? So he's saying reduce it back down to what actually happened. What is the basic thing? What happened? Oh, you can explain it to yourself, and then that might help you not to hold that grudge, let's say, or something like that. Yeah, I mean
it's difficult because I don't know what he means by impressions, and then I don't know what he means by the phrase grab actual events, and then I don't know what he means by permeate them. So it's difficult for me to like even arrive at any level of confidence that I actually know what he's talking about here. Even though I like what you're saying, and it seems like, as far as I can tell,
I have a low level of confidence, but still, that's kind of how it makes sense to me. So yeah, that's fine.
And the name of it is like a productive use for contempt. So he's saying like contempt is like the dead fish, or this fine wine. It's just this.
Yeah, but
or the robe is just this.
See, but I'm having problem with that too, with all of those, like, this is just that, because just that, you say, this is a dead fish. Well, is it a dead fish? Or is it just some
it's like,
cells together? Or why are we calling this thing a fish in the first place?
Yeah.
So so you can reduce pretty much any scenario down to a building structure of what we understand in physics.
Exactly. If you take it to the like building blocks place of like, this means reduce something down to its building blocks, like eventually you get to an atom in like every story.
It's like, oh hey, this is a bunch of collection of atoms here, there's a bunch of collection of atom here, and a bunch of collections of atoms there. That's all it is, right? Which it is what it is. Right. So then why, then you might say like, well, if all of this is just a bunch of collection of atoms, how are we so uptight about this stuff, right? Or something. Maybe that's what it is. Like try to like reduce it to as far as you can go, right? And then maybe there's something there that's helpful.
I don't know, as far as you can go seems farther than a dead fish or like juice from a bunch of grapes, you know what I mean?
Yeah, juice. What is juice, right?
Or like what is a fish, so
how did the water got into the grape?
I feel there's like some flavor here that I'm not quite understanding, because the word contempt is in here, and that's Ryan's word, that's not Marcus's word. But there is something about this, like I'm reading just in here a lot, like this is just that. This is just that.
And maybe this is not supposed to be like a precise thing.
Sure, so then I'd want to understand
like
what is that? What
rule
is
of thumb,
Right, so then I'm trying to understand what that is through the context of like, if this is just that, what's the value in me doing something like that? Is it to sort of pull me out of a place where I might be idolizing something? I might be putting something on a pedestal.
I can see that. Yep, I can see that.
And so if I'm putting something on a pedestal, then what's useful is to say, well, this is just this and this and this and this. It's really not that big of a deal.
Right. Let's say I could use it going for an interview, right? I can say, oh my God, this is this interview. Oh my God, they're going to be asking. I can create this thing in my head, right? Or I can say, no. Scratch all that. This is just me going to meet some people. We'll see what happens. Like I can simplify it into this simplicity, and now all of a sudden maybe my anxiety is lower because of it, and now I'm feeling more confident maybe going into it. Why would I feel more confident? I didn't learn anything more. I can't talk to these people. No, I just took all of that storytelling and I said, this is simple. I'm just gonna go there and shake hands, and then we'll see, and just go with that, right? So like it could help to kind of like going down to like breaking it down to simple places. Like it could help you overcome something. What you were saying, really, right? Like you can see how it can kind of like do that.
Yeah, if it's like something I'm coveting or something I'm in some way thinking is like very special, or I'm trying to get it or something like that, maybe this is a useful trick.
Yeah.
That's the best that I have for this one. This one is really hard.
I think that's what it is. Yeah, you got it.
Well, let's see. Let's see how Ryan interprets this whole thing.
Yeah.
There is one Stoic exercise that might well be described as contemptuous expressions. Stoics use an almost cynical language as a way to dismantle some of the fanciest or most coveted parts of life. Marcus's joke about sex, why would he say something like that? Well, if you take a second to consider sex in such an absurd light, you may be less likely to do something shameful or embarrassing in the pursuit of it. It's a counterbalance to the natural bias we have towards something that feels really good. We can apply this same way of thinking to a lot of things that people prize. Consider that envy-inducing photo you see on social media. Imagine the person painstakingly staging it. What about that job promotion that means so much? Look at the lives of other so-called successful people. Still think it holds magical power? Money, which we want more of and are reluctant to part with. Consider how covered in bacteria and filth it is. That beautiful, perfect person you're admiring from afar, remember that if they're single, other people must have dumped them at some point. There must be something wrong with them. This exercise won't turn you into a cynic, but it will provide some much needed objectivity.
So it's an exercise. I like it. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. So I feel like that was exactly what we were talking about. Yeah. Like reducing it down to, like, having sex is really just like two people are rubbing their organs together for some time, right? Like if you look at it that way, then all of a sudden like you pursuing this person is because of sex or something is not, it doesn't make sense anymore, right? Like wait, what is the sex actually, right? Like if you break it down to this very mechanical thing, then you go like, well, then why would I be so going crazy over this or something? You know what I mean? You can kind of like, it's like helpful to reduce it to maybe kind of like get a different perspective on it or something, like simpler perspective. Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Me too. All right. We'll see you here tomorrow, or we'll do it all again. Maybe it'll make more sense. Who knows?